Good evening. It is time for today's Tax Talk. I am your host. I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. It is Wednesday, April 6th. Good afternoon. It is time for today's Tax Talk. I'm your host. I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. It is Thursday, April 7th, the year of our Lord 2022. And the IRS Commissioner was in the front of the House Ways and Means Committee again today and had some things to say. And that's what we're going to report on today. And I hope you join us. Won't you? So, it does, as I mentioned, there was a House Ways and Means Committee hearing today. The chairman of the IRS, Rettig, I believe that's how they pronounce it, appeared before the committee and made some stunning, I wouldn't say stunning remarks, but some remarks, kind of to be expected. As we all know, the IRS is behind in many of the filings and still doing last year's, and we're worried about. They're doing a surge. We reported on the two surges that they reported on here. They got $675 million to hire 10,000 more employees, 5,000 right away to try to get this backlog behind us. I think it's a tall order, and I don't think that they're going to be able to do it. That's my own opinion. What do I know, right? But the commissioner thinks otherwise. And so let us go into that. Okay. So here's the story. IRS will absolutely, and this is the big promise in our headline, to absolutely resolve the backlog before the end of the year, the commissioner says. So that's a tall order. They haven't to reassign employees to do things that they don't do. You can't just, they're not replaceable where you just take one off here, put it over there, and they're going to get the job done. They have to get trained. That's going to take time. This is the federal government. It takes a long time. But let's read the story because I think it's interesting. The IRS will absolutely resolve the backlog before the end of the year. The IRS, let me see if I can get rid of this. This is the problem. The IRS would wipe out its massive backlog of returns by the end of the year, the commissioner said Thursday. His optimistic prognosis comes as millions of people are still waiting for the overburdened agency to process returns from the past tax season and send their refunds, even as the IRS entered a new filing season. The IRS still had 23 million items in the backlog to get through heading into this year's tax filing season as it struggled to overcome hurdles exacerbated by the coronavirus pandemic. I do agree that the pandemic had a lot to do with this, but it's not a lack of underfunding or anything. That's what they always go down to that. But let's see if they do that here. Earlier this year, the taxpayer advocate wrote in her report that the IRS was in crisis. We reported on that report right here, and the crisis from the taxpayer advocate. Treasury and IRS officials warned this could be the most challenging tax filing season for taxpayers and preparers to date. The commissioner appeared before the House Ways and Means Committee Thursday for a hearing on tax filing season. He said the agency will absolutely make it through the backlog before the end of the 2022. Make it through the backlog, and then will a new one be created? I think that's you could read it that way, couldn't you? If the world stays as it is today, we will be what we call healthy by the end of the year, calendar year 22, and enter the 23 filing season with normal inventories. Healthy through the eyes of the taxpayer. The Treasury Department and IRS announced last week a plan to catch up on the pandemic-related backlog this year. The effort includes hiring of 10,000 IRS employees over the next year, including 5,000 in the next few months. The IRS has also been granted more hiring authority, allowing the agency to get new employees in the door more quickly. Previously, the onboarding process took as many as 6 to 8 months. But with the new abilities, employees will be on board in 30 to 35 days, if they can find them. The agency also has an 800-person surge team of experienced IRS employees who since last month have been working through amended returns and other taxpayer correspondence in the backlog. Another 700-person surge team is also being assembled to help process original returns. Again, they might be experienced IRS employees, but that's not their job. They have to be trained. When the coronavirus pandemic hit in spring 2020, the IRS shut down its processing centers in the middle of the tax filing season. While centers reopened in June, the agency was left with more than 23 million pieces of unopened mail to get through that July. The IRS is capable of opening 1 million to 1.5 million pieces of mail a week and had to fight through that backlog. The situation snowballed. The IRS had also to fulfill additional responsibilities, such as delivering stimulus checks and advanced tax child credit payments to millions of Americans during the pandemic. The agency has delivered more than $1.5 trillion in relief since the pandemic began. But the major challenge the IRS continue to face in tax filing season, according to the agency, is paper returns, which involves the tedious process of physically entering the information into their systems. The issue for the Internal Revenue Service has always been paper, pre-pandemic and during the pandemic. Heading into this year's filing season, the IRS has been encouraging everyone capable of filing returns electronically to do so, and emphasizing the importance of accuracy. The agency maintains those who file accurate returns electronically should receive refunds within 21 days. I've been telling everybody about that because then human beings don't have to see it. For the 2022 tax filing season, the IRS has received more than 63 million tax returns through March 11th and has issued more than 45 million returns totaling more than $151 billion. The tax filing season runs through Monday, April 18th. Well, we know all that. Well, this is, I think he's being optimistic, and I guess that's his job, is to be optimistic and to say that this can happen, and I hope it can happen. But I think training people, we talked about that these are the same jobs that Walmart and McDonald's hires, right? They're $20,000 to $30,000 a year. So there's a lot of pressure out there to get these types of workers, and to get the IRS to get them in, get them trained, get them working, all by the end of the year. Again, I think is optimistic. And let's look at another reason why I think it's being optimistic. IRS chief, this is today, 53% of agents work from home full-time. In testimony to the Senate Finance Committee today, IRS Commissioner Charles said that over half of the agency's employees work full-time from home. He said 53% of employees are in full-time telework capacity. The rest of the employees either have a blended capacity or are there on site. In perhaps not related statement, he said that the agency is picking up the phone 19 to 20% of the time. So again, that's better. This is a report on that. 19 to 20% of the time. So that's what you have the employees. They're still at home. They're not coming. You can't do this work from your home. You can't get paper transcripts or paper returns at your house. You have to be on site. And if 53% of all of them are at home, he says agents. I don't know if that means all employees or just revenue officers or appeals officers, or because they have a lot of different categories. So I don't know exactly what he's getting to, but it wouldn't be easy to do what they're trying to do. But that's where we are. The IRS is struggling. We know that. Remember now, if you're trying to get your return done, file electronically. Over 90% of all returns are done electronically. They got caught off guard because they're not set up for paper returns any longer. And all of these errors and going backwards and changing the rules after the fact has meant that the IRS has to go back and have a human do these returns, and they're not capable. They're not really set up to do that anymore, and they shouldn't be. Again, more than 90% of all returns are done electronically in normal years. We can't set up to do paper returns again. It's generally not going to be necessary ever again, let's hope. Anyway, that's my take on this. So thanks so much for listening. I want to encourage you to like and share our content. It's important that we get it out to people. I think the core of all news is tax news, and so please help us get our content out to those who need it. And again, if you're fighting the IRS, if you have back tax returns, if you owe the IRS money, the first thing you should do, get a copy of my book, Deal with Your IRS Problems Today. Go to freeirsbook.com, freeirsbook.com. That's freeirsbook.com. Get yourself a copy of my book. There's lots of great information in there, and it will help you. I promise you. So go to freeirsbook.com and get your copy. So thanks so much for joining us here today, and we look forward to seeing. Now, tomorrow's Friday. We have the Watch Talk Radio podcast around 2:15 in the afternoon. At any place you're watching us here, you'll see us there tomorrow. So thanks so much again, and we'll see you on the next show.